They don't call him the Clown Prince of Crime for nothing. While the Joker may be known for murder and mayhem, he's also, you know, a Joker. And no version of the Joker better showcases his maniacal mischief better than Mark Hamill's take on the iconic villain from the beloved Batman the Animated Series. In a show aimed squarely at kids, the gruesome death and destruction was toned down a bit in favor of showing the Joker's ability to break the law and have a good laugh while doing it. So what would it look like if the animated version of the Joker had to stand trial in the real world for his crimes? To find out just what kind of legal trouble the Joker would be looking at, we needed to consult with a legal expert.
My name is Doug Ridley. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I run my own law firm, and I started out my career as a prosecutor in the district attorney's office.
In the episode The Laughing Fish, the Joker dumps toxins into the Gotham River to give all the fish his signature smile. This seems like a pretty big environmental no-no.
Potentially dumping into a river is an environmental crime. It's an environmental offense. I guess arguably harming the fish would be something that a prosecutor would want to go on as well. If Mark Hamill's Joker was punished for the environmental impacts that he did, then I would imagine that would be fines and some sort of restitution for the cleanup. I prosecuted a case early in my career where a trucking company had dumped some oil into a riverbed. And so in that case, we made the trucking company pay for any costs of cleanup, the environmental damage, and there were a lot of reports that came in order to establish that. I could see that being something that Mark Hamill's Joker would need to do after trying to create his Joker fish.
Is there any way you could see the Joker finding a legal loophole to get himself off the hook?
I actually would spend a whole lot of time successfully defending Mark Hamill's Joker. Really what he was doing was he was genetically modifying animals, which is no different than having cows that have an increased milk supply or fish that end up living longer or grow faster. I would argue the GMO animal defense that he did absolutely nothing criminal in his case. Corporations now, we're at a point where genetically modified foods and genetically modified animals are a thing that science is creating that companies are spending lots of money on. I'm going to argue in front of a jury that Mark Hamill's Joker was just decades before his time in the GMO world, and that he really was going in and trying to improve the fish that were in the Gotham River.
Talk about a happy meal.
While some may say he's an innovator, it's hard to forget the reign of terror the Joker has caused in Gotham City. Does having a history of using deadly toxins for nefarious purposes work against him in this case?
In a lot of cases, Joker's prior acts would become one of the major prosecution points that we would have. They would want to bring in all of his bad stuff to show his pattern and practice of behavior over time and to also show his intent. My job for the jury is going to be focusing them in and pulling them back in. Also objecting and stopping the prosecutor from bringing in the prior acts, which is an issue that comes into play in a lot of cases. I am going to do my best with a straight face to argue to the jury that he is turning things around at this point and he is doing a business of improving the Joker fish, which I can almost do with a straight face. If we're gonna say that the companies that modify fish to make them larger are doing something positive for the world, but this one that puts a smile on the face is somehow wrong, I think that that is a difficult thing to attach criminal liability to.
But there's another legal twist in this case. The Joker is usually going against the law, but in this episode, he tries to use the law to his advantage by busting into a copyright office and claiming a copyright claim on the genetically modified fish.
Since every fish in Gotham now bears my famous and frankly fabulous face, I should be getting a profit from every fish product sold.
It's a bold strategy, but it begs the question, can you actually copyright a fish?
I can't say definitively that you can or can't copyright a fish.
But they share my unique face. Colonel What's-His-Name has chickens, and they don't even have mustaches.
Now, here's the thing, is that the copyright aspect of the fish probably isn't protected. A copyright we see for marks and things on paper. but the idea behind the fish, the genetic formula for the gas that turned the fish from normal into their smiley brilliance, all of that is potentially scientific procedures and mechanisms that do have some level of intellectual property protection. So I would argue that that process can be protected. Maybe not the same way that the Joker had, but with me as his attorney by his side, I would have got him some sort of protection for sure.
And a good lawyer might be all the Joker needs to walk away from this caper with absolutely no jail time.
Out of all the Joker cases that we're looking at, this is one that I would have a very good shot at resolving. Although, part of the reason why I think I could resolve this case is because I feel pretty strongly at the end of the day that if a prosecutor wouldn't give me what I wanted, I would make them put this case in front of a jury and see what they would do. I would use the phrase Jokerfish as often as possible to make fun of the prosecution's case and get the jury to go with me about the fact that this really wasn't, at the end of the day, an environmental disaster like the prosecution would depict it to be, but really just an early attempt at GMO.
Gotta hand it to you, nice scheme.
So maybe it's not the worst crime the Joker has ever committed, and best case scenario, it might turn out he didn't even commit a crime at all. Still, you might want to think twice about ordering sushi if you ever find yourself in Gotham.
Great Scott. Actually, I'm Irish.